This is, again, Eric Viewer. I'm our Council Program Director, and Brian Lenhart is also on the line, our Staff Advisor and the Salish District Director. First, just a review of the dates and locations that our day camps are happening at. Up in North Cascades, we have Berthiston Park in Linden, Fire Mountain, and Oak Harbor. In Pilchuck District, we have Harvey in Snohomish and McKinley outside of Arlington. And in Salish District, we have Silver Lake here in Everett and Williams Farm down in Bothell. I also want to put a plug in. We're currently recruiting Key 4 leadership members for many of our camps. The Key 4 leadership includes the camp director, the program director, the secretary, and the quartermaster. These are some of those job descriptions. There's also a special discount available to registration for the Scouts of Key 4 leadership. If you have the interest and the capacity to help out in the coming months as we prepare for day camp, please reach out to your district executive who can help you get in touch with the day camp staff. We'll have that contact information at the end of the presentation if you need to get that. As a day camp coordinator, you are serving one of the key roles in the success of Cub Scout Day Camp for us. I want to review some of the key tasks that you're going to be helping us take care of. First, online registration is going to be completed by you, the coordinator. It's not intended for families to complete independently. In the packets that you should have received from your district executives or at your roundtables, there were included some registration forms. Those are intended for you to pass out to families. They can fill in the information and then return them to you. That gives you everything you need to do in order to register them online. We'll be reviewing the steps for actual online registration a little later in the presentation. As coordinator, it's also important that you collect health forms. That's part A and B of the annual health and medical record for each individual who's going to be at camp. That means the Cub Scouts, the adult volunteers, the youth helpers, and the tag who are going to spend time at camp. And then finally, we also want to make sure as you're registering folks for camp that the adult to cub ratio is at least 1 to 3. We want to make sure that there's appropriate supervision and enough volunteers to put on a really great program at day camp. And you're the first link in making that happen, making sure that we have enough volunteers to put that on. Included in your coordinator packet is the adult volunteer summary sheet. This is a great tool you can use to track how many adults you have and the number of days that you have them there to make sure that you're meeting that ratio. Please note that the adult volunteers at day camp need to be BSA registered, which includes youth protection training. If they're not currently registered, there is a camp staff registration that they can use, which is free of cost, but does include the background check that's needed. I just want to talk about T-shirts at day camp. Everyone loves their shirts, and our collections start growing as Cub Scouts and keep growing all the way through to adulthood. The Cub Scouts who are registering to attend day camp receive a T-shirt as a part of that fee, and we're pretty excited about them. The adult volunteers and youth helpers coming to camp to help put us things on. If they spend at least 3 days at camp, that means they qualify for a free T-shirt. And in the registration form, there will be a spot for you to certify their volunteering days and put in a size for that free shirt. If they spend less than 3 days at camp, then they can purchase a T-shirt for $10. When you do order those shirts, it's going to be important to us to know what size they are so that we can order the appropriate sizes. We've included youth as an option, which we haven't done every year. We want to encourage families to think about Youth Small only for tag-along shirts. Often families will order a shirt based on the size their cub is now, not the size they're going to be in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, and they quickly outgrow the shirt. So encourage them to think about their child growing. Finally, tag-alongs do not have a shirt that they can that they get for registering, but they can purchase one for $10. Next, we're going to take a look at the resources on the Council website for Cub Scout Day Camp and move on to the online registration tour. So this is our Cub Scout Day Camp page on the Council website. The link or the address is mountbakerbsa.org/Cub Scout Day Camp with hyphens between each word. Here on this page, you can see our Cub Scout or our Day Camp logo. This is what will be on the T-shirts that our Scouts and volunteers will be getting, as well as some general information, dates, the pricing. As you can see here, early bird pricing with registration open tomorrow. Early bird pricing is in effect through the end of March until March 31st, and that's $105. After that, the regular standard fee of $125 goes into effect all the way until June 1st, and then the late registration fee after June 1st is $150. Note that there is a multi-week discount. So if you have a scout who's going to 1 week of day camp and just has to go to another one, then when you register them for another one, there'll be a button that I'll show you that lets them get a discount on attending the second week of camp. That discount, by the way, applies to multiple weeks of camp. They could go to all 7 weeks of day camp if they wanted and get some great discounts. If your scout attends Cub Scout resident camp, they also get a discount on attending day. Next down here, we have links to each of the day camps and that you're looking to sign up at. In a minute, we're going to click ahead and go on to the online registration system, but I wanted to show you one more or a couple more pieces down here. If you have families that are looking for Opportunity Fund grants, need some financial assistance, there's a way to apply for that here. Please note that when you're there registering, before you register a family that's asking for an Opportunity Fund, you need to have completed this online form, or rather they need to have completed it. And the system will look for that form before it applies it to their registration. Finally, I keep mentioning this Day Camp PAC coordinator folder that had a bunch of documents and such in it. If you have not received that for any reason, then all of those documents are listed right here as well, including the registration forms for each of our attendees, the adult volunteer summary sheet, general instructions for yourself as a coordinator, and the blue and gold placemat that we produced. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at registration. I'm going to click to Silver Lake Day Camp here, but the registration experience will be the same for each camp. Okay, so this is Silver Lake Day Camp. We can see all sorts of great information on this first page here, but if we're ready to register, just going to click that button. If you have created an account previously, you can go ahead and use that, but it's also easy to continue as a guest, and it's going to ask for some basic information as we do that. So this first page is going to ask us the numbers of Cub Scouts, adults, tag-alongs, youth helpers, and adult staff that we're registering. Adult staff will take care of themselves. PAC coordinators, you don't need to worry about that. Youth helpers can be registered by you, or they can register themselves as well. Cub Scout youth, adults, and tag-alongs coming from your PAC are going to require you to register them. And to do that, there's actually a password involved. So if I click on one youth, it's going to ask for the password. We ask that you not share these login passwords with your families. If you do, what's going to wind up happening is they'll make a separate registration for your PAC, and then you're going to have a hard time tracking who's actually attending day camp. So it's important that you're the one who uses these passwords to register people so that you can keep track of who's coming from your PAC. But now I've got a Cub Scout registered. When I'm done with that, I can also click register here. But what's going to happen is I haven't met that 1-to-3 ratio. Right now I have one Cub Scout selected, but I don't have any adults. And so I can't actually continue until I add some adults as well. The system is going to make sure that we're maintaining at least that 1-to-3 ratio. So I'm going to go ahead and add an adult here as well. And now I've got a youth and an adult. When I register, now I can move on. It wants to know who I am first. So I'll put in that information and we can continue. So now a registration exists. I can see that my contact is red here. That means I need to update some information. Participants is red. Oh, and it won't even let me go on until I update my contact information. So I'm going to do that now. It needs to know my cell phone. And it needs to know my unit information. I am in Mount Baker Council, and I am a member of the council. And now I save that. Contact is no longer red, it's current and complete. I'm going to go on to participants. As I'm going through this, I should point out there's this great little tab here, support, on the side. On every page inside the registration system, you'll see this support tab. If I click there, I've got all sorts of video tutorials on how to do each piece of this. So if you have any questions as you go through on any page, you can always click that support tab to get a great how-to video. Let's see, I need to put in some information about my Cub Scout youth. Brian, will you be my Cub Scout youth? Sure. Sure. So my Cub Scout is Brian Lenhart. He was born on the 1st of January. I don't know that. 2012. Next year, he's going to be in 4th grade. Lives at 123 3rd Street in Everett. Let's see. Anything that's red here is required and needs to be completed. Anything that's black can be skipped over. We have Ed Lenhart at 123 456 7890. And an email is ed@lenhart.com. Emergency contact is Ann Lenhart at 345-678-9012, who's a mother. Notice we've got a spot here for any dietary restrictions, allergies, medical concerns that we need to be aware of. Okay. Here's a portion for Opportunity Fund grants. In this spot, we can reminder that we can apply for an Opportunity Fund grant here. Before we can say, yes, I'm applying for an Opportunity Fund grant, I need to have completed the online request form. So make sure that you have done, or you've had your families do that. Finally, day camp t-shirt size, Mr. Lenhart is a youth large. Okay. I need to update some information for my adult here as well before I can continue. Let's get that up to date as well. Today's date is February 29th, 2020. Let's get that fixed. Oh, I see what's going on. There we go. Emergency contact name. And viewer, there we go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0, 1, 2, 3. Sister. I have no other red space here. I can put in days I'm going to work at camp. Yeah, I'm going to be a great volunteer and work every day. There you go, Brian. And because I'm working for at least 3 days, I can select a size for a free t-shirt. I'm going to go for an adult 2XL. Right, and save that. Now all of my information is in, and up top I can see that participants are good. So I'm going to go to checkout. Yeah, so we can always add participants and add volunteers as we go. Within this one registration account, I can add multiple youth. If I have some youth who are coming during the early bird registration, they'll get that fee price. If I come in after March 31st and add more youth, then they would get the regular fee or the late fee, depending on when you add them to the registration. At this point, if I have anyone who needs to, for whom the multi-discount applies, I can put that in here. And it will get that applied, but otherwise, as soon as my information is loaded, I can see what balance is due. Early discount applies there, and there's that 105. And then I check out and pay online. That's right. The way this is set up, because registration will be moving through the PAC coordinator, is that what we recommend anyway is that you have your families each pay the PAC, and that way there's just one payer who's coming to Black Puck to put in that registration. Your PAC can pay either with a credit card or with an electronic check. We recommend the electronic check. It's faster and there's no additional fees, whereas with the credit card, there is a 3% service fee that's added to the charge. When you register youth and adults, would we register in chunks, so by each fee deadline? And if I register a bunch of adults on the first go and no adults in the second go, does the system keep track of what's there so I don't get hung up? Yes, Kathy. If you have a bunch of adults registered, that'll give you a maximum amount of youth. So if you register only some youth at the beginning, you'll still have space to add more in as you go until you start to exceed that 1-to-3 ratio. So it's a good idea to get as many of your adults registered early as you can, even if you don't have all of the registration information for youth. And I think we've addressed the idea that we can register in chunks. So if you've got some families that are ready to sign up before the end of early bird, get them in, and then you can always go back and add more to your registration as they're ready. Let's see, Colleen asks in a similar vein, if I have more cubs than I do adults at the early bird deadline, do those cubs miss out on the discount since you can't register them without the adults? So without having adults in the system, it would prevent you from registering more youth than breaks that ratio. I would suggest using Kathy's strategy there and getting the adults registered early. It is possible to modify later on. So if you wind up finding out that different adults or different days of availability are there, then you can update the adult later on. Just to be clear, Debbie asks, families go online and complete their opportunity fund before we register them. Yes, please. If the families haven't completed the opportunity fund before you do the registration, then the system won't be able to verify that that's been completed. When does early bird end? Early bird ends at midnight on March 31st. So if you wake up on April 1st to register people, they'll be paying the regular fee. Ray asks, can you pay each time you add participants, or can you add them through the month and make one payment? Oh, do you have to pay each time? So the first time that you add participants, you can make that payment. As you add additional people, it'll update your bill and you'll be able to make those payments as you go. it's until you make that first payment, there isn't a finalized reservation. It still shows as in progress. We've got some pretty wide or pretty broad attendance limits, so we're not too worried about camps filling up, but that would be the only disadvantage, Ray, of waiting to pay until the end of the month. Like I say, I don't think that any camps are likely to fill up, but if there is that concern, then you want to at least get that payment in the first time you add participants to make sure that you have a finished reservation, and then you can add more to it. Chris asks if it's a $20 discount for each participant or for the whole order. The early bird discount is for each registrant, and so the cost, the standard cost is $125. The discount, if you register before the end of March, is $20 for each registrant. The cub to adult ratio for day camp is different from resident camp. Resident camp has a group of paid staff who help set a baseline standard for supervision. And so the adults who come for resident camp are adding into that and supplementing it. With day camp, all of the staff are coming from the adult volunteers who are coming to camp. And so we need to make sure that we've got enough to fill that gap. Does the registration info save in the system if we don't submit a payment right away? Yes, as soon as you start the registration process, a registration is completed. It just won't be finalized, which means it won't actually be saving space until the first payment's made. So you'll have an in-progress reservation until you make that first payment. Let's see. Chris wonders, can we split our pack between two camps, such as Fire Mountain and Oak Harbor? Absolutely, you can. To do that, you're going to wind up making two registrations. You'll back on the day camp page, you'll click on the Fire Mountain one and register those cubs there, and then you'll click on the Oak Harbor one and register those scouts there. And so you can split them between those camps. Rick asks, do we need to submit an application for each campsite, or is it broken out in the mass registration? So if I understand correctly, Rick, if you have scouts going to two different camps, you will need to make two different registrations. Each camp is set up as its own event, and so you need to register for each one separately. Thank you so much for coming and taking time this Saturday to attend. If you have any further questions, the great people to reach out to are your district executives. They can either answer your questions directly or put you in touch with the camp director for your local camp. In North Cascades, that is Sven Gilkey and Blake Jones. In Pilchuck District, that is Daniel Adams and Alan Barkley. And in Salish C District, that is Brian Lenhart and Jose Rodriguez.